I like the shirt.
Oh, thank you very much. Show off a tad that I went to Florida, and there's sunshine in the world.
Yes,
amazing.
there is.
Okay,
Red light's blinking, correct?
red light's blinking.
Excellent.
I'm ready. I think he's ready.
Sweet.
You ready?
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Ed Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
Laura, what are we here to talk about today?
We are here to talk about the second round of 2014 Best Picture nominees for movies that were released in 2013.
Okay.
And those movies are 12 Years a Slave, Her, Nebraska, and The Wolf of Wall Street.
And we've already done...
American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, and Philomena.
And if I remember correctly, we moved the two indies forward, Dallas Buyers Club and Philomena.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dive in then with 12 Years a Slave, directed by Steve McQueen, from a screenplay by John Ridley, based on the 1853 slave memoir 12 Years a Slave by Solomon Northup, starring Chiwetel Ejiofor, Michael Fassbender, Benedict Cumberbatch, Paul Dano, Paul Giamatti, Lupita Nyong'o, Sarah Paulson, Brad Pitt, and Alfred Woodard. Was nominated for Best Picture, Screenplay, Original Score, Original Song, and Best Production Design, and it did win Original Screen... Oh, that's not the one at all. Sorry, let me do that again, because I got my pages all out of order. There we go. Take two. 12 Years a Slave was nominated for Best Picture, Director, Best Actor for Mr. Ejiofor, Best Supporting for Fassbender, Best Supporting Actress for Lupita, Adapted Screenplay, Costume Design, Film Editing, and Production Design. It did win for Adapted Screenplay. Lupita won her Oscar for Best Supporting, and it did win Best Picture. Go with the summary and some stuff.
Okay, so the summary is, in the antebellum United States, Solomon Northup, a free black man from upstate New York, is abducted and sold into slavery. There, I think that's it. So a couple of fun facts. First of all, Steve McQueen was the first black producer to win Best Picture. And he was the first black producer, period, and it was the first film from a black director to win Best Picture as well.
Okay.
He did not win Best Director himself, as that went to Gravity.
Yeah.
And then it's another one of those like Argo where they split the picture and the director. So this one, interestingly, Steve McQueen wanted to write a screenplay about a story of a free man who is captured into slavery and his experience, and he wasn't feeling the voice, and he was having a hard time writing it. And his partner at the time, then wife, found this memoir, and so he's like, that is exactly the story that I want to tell, and so that's kind of how it came about. He went with John Ripley, I believe it was.
Okay.
Ripley, the writer. Yep. John Ridley, I'm sorry, was the writer. And there was a famous dispute about whether or not Steve McQueen should have been credited as a co-writer on that script, and he was not. And he actually went and disputed that, but it turned out that John Ridley was the only named screenwriter. He won an Oscar. Steve McQueen won an Oscar. That night, neither of them thanked each other.
Oh, a little bit of bad blood there.
A little bit of bad blood there, exactly.
All right. This is, we've kind of over the course of these podcasts identified certain types of films.
Yes.
This is a film kind of like Warhorse, where you follow a singular character all the way through and then have basically kind of like vignettes or just long extended sections where you sit for a moment before moving on to something else. So this is in that vein. Personally, I think this is one of the better versions of that kind of story.
Agreed.
Because the world that they build, as horrible as it is incredibly detailed and very, very rich.
I completely agree. I think that the other thing about this is a movie like Django Unchained where it is trying to make you comfortable, but it is trying to make you uncomfortable in the reality of the situation rather than some kind of heightened reality, which is what the Tarantino version was, which actually, because of the reality of it, makes it more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it is one of those movies, I take it at like a Schindler's List of you're sitting in this and feeling very uncomfortable, but that's what you're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
It's not for the sake of the discomfort, it's for the sake of this is what happened and you need, like for instance, the time that he was hanging by the limb.
Oh,
that was an incredibly long period of time and we needed to sit in that time frame to make it that uncomfortable.
Yeah, if it had suddenly been the rescuer comes in. I
No.
was surprised that the plantation owner didn't cut it down. Not the plantation owner,
The foreman?
The foreman didn't cut him down. He scared everybody off, saved his life,
Yep.
but then he just left it.
Because I don't think he knew what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of the conclusion I
Yeah.
came to is like, what do I do? I'll
Right.
have to wait for, I'll make sure he's still alive,
Right.
but I need to wait for the master.
He is still a black man that attacked a white man,
Yes.
and so that is still very much against the law and very much a capital crime
Yeah.
in those times.
But
so,
you're
yeah,
right, we
He,
needed
he
to
needed direction.
Yeah, and we did need to sit in that moment and make it uncomfortable, and then just a little bit more, push it a little bit
Yes.
further to understand the gravity of actually that is something that happened quite frequently, etc. If the master had come in just seconds after and cut him down, the impact of that would have not been the same at
We
all.
would not have felt that,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, it was, and there was several of those. I'm just naming that one. There
Yep.
were several moments that went on for a very long time, and we just kind of needed to sit with it.
Because this is a kind of follow your way through story, each of the places that you kind of sit in, you get a really good understanding of the different types of way people were dealing with racism at that particular point. Like the Fassbender character is 100% there.
Oh yeah.
They are not even close to being equal. Cumberbatch is like, this is how things are, and his world is trying to be as nice and kind as he can be in the moment, but he's not gonna give up.
But he's not a good person.
No.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
he's not gonna give it up. But I liked that there were the differences of, you could see how in reality, I'm sure this was how a lot of it was. There were some who were just completely anti and they're lower than low, and others who were like, this is just the way it is, and yeah, you're not really on my level, but I'm not going to be mean to you.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was almost like looking at slaves as animals.
Yeah,
of like,
exactly.
I will not mistreat you. However, I'm not going to help you either. I'm not going to help you come to my level.
But, and also, when you kind of follow the way the film goes, like in the beginning, he's a very successful, respected, prominent person in his community, and the film slowly just takes all of that away. Like the first place after he's captured and going through that's horrific, but the first place he goes, as far as how they treat slaves, was not bad. And it just gets worse and worse and worse
It
as the
was the
film
best
goes.
of the bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just gets worse and worse and worse as it goes along. So I like that there was kind of an arc to it that you were able to follow. Just like the emotional trauma as well as physical trauma. There was definitely an arc to it. It wasn't like there was a path that you could kind of go down with it. And I like that.
Nope, I totally agree. I thought that it was a really solid movie that had incredibly special moments in it. Like there were two particularly. One was when what was Nyong'a's name? Tracy?
Lupita?
Yes, what was her name?
I don't remember, you put me on the spot, sorry.
Sorry, nope, that's gonna bug me. But anyway, her character when she begged him to kill her.
Yeah.
Like that entire scene was so horrible and sad, and yet you absolutely understood why she asked it. You absolutely understood why he didn't do it. When he was leaving her, it broke your heart for what her life was then going to be without at least even a friend there. And like that moment. And then the other moment that I thought was incredibly special was when, and this is another moment where we sat with him for a very long time, when Solomon starts to sing along with the spiritual.
Yeah.
So he is, to me, I read that as he's just burned his letter. Somebody has just died, and he's sitting there, and he's on the sideline, and then he slowly starts to sing, and he's like, he has accepted that this is his life now.
Yep.
And we watch that on his face before he even starts to sing a note. And we were there on his face for a very long time, but it was really well done.
He conveyed a lot of emotion just through facial expressions.
Yep, Patsy. Shoot, Patsy.
Good job, way to pull it up.
Thank you.
One of the more heartbreaking scenes for me, and I'm taking all the physical torture and things like that out of it, just one of the more emotional moments for
Yes.
me was when he and Patsy are basically coming at each other for their justifications of where they are and their acceptance of it. Because she's crying still over the loss of her children, and she just can't stop. He's trying to
No,
tell...
that wasn't Patsy. That was the first woman that he meets.
Yeah,
that
I'm
they
sorry.
ended up getting rid of.
You're
yeah.
right, it wasn't Patsy. But that scene between the two of them,
Yes.
she's coming at it in a very particular way, and basically, you know, they go at each other with their justifications of what they're doing, and her ending is like, you're doing your thing, you need to let me do
Exactly,
mine.
like leave me alone. This is how I'm going to make it through.
But and the film does a really good job of kind of diving deep into that when you have the slaves talk to each other and you can see some of them doing in their own heads the justification for what they're actually doing. One of them very early on tells him, you know, don't let them know that you can read or write.
Right.
That's going to be viewed as a very bad thing. You can see the various aspects of what slavery does to individuals. He accepts it at one point, but even very early on when he's first getting off the ship, there's that one slave who is joyful to be back with his master.
Yep.
You see all of
because
these
of the
different...
protection that offers.
Correct.
And you know that, like, I may be in a bad situation, which I certainly am, like with Cumberbatch, I'm in a bad situation, but it could be a worse situation. Yeah. One thing I do want to say, only because language matters, and I know I've said it as we've been having this conversation, but when you I heard it, was enslaved people, because slaves means that is who they are, that is their characteristic.
Okay.
And they are enslaved people. It's something that folks are trying to make sure that we're using as language of, this is not something they are, this is something that has been done to them.
I gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, so I said it several times in the conversation and just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will do my absolute best.
Nope, and it was when you said it, I realized I had been saying it, so I wanted to correct myself as well. But that's probably a good segue into the physical torture, which was incredibly painful and, you know, just again, probably incredibly real, and wasn't gratuitous, but my God, it felt gratuitous.
Yeah.
You know?
Like there are lots of scenes where you actually don't see the whipping, you hear it and feel it, because you see the expression instead, which I think was a very wise choice.
Yep.
There are obviously scenes where you do see them being whipped, but there are the ones that the more painful ones is when you're not actually seeing it. I would like to talk about some of the performances, because I think everybody in this is incredibly well cast. And like you like to say, they knew their assignment and they showed up.
Absolutely.
And even though his performance I thought was fantastic and he stuck to what the character was, honestly, Brad Pitt's the weakest actor in this for me, but he still does a phenomenal job.
I think the problem is that we know he's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I think it's not even his performance. I think that he just brings his celebrity to the part, unfortunately, so there's not a lot he can do about that. But you're right, he's the one that took me most out of the story.
Yeah, even though he played his character incredibly well, he was very honest and it was a good performance. I think you're right, the Brad Pitt of it all kind of does take you out.
Yeah.
He's a pretty man.
He's a pretty man, and he looked very, very clean for his circumstances.
Yes, he did.
The other one who I really liked, who was just a tiny bit part, was the one who played the judge, who was who was the gay ad executive from Mad Men. I like that actor a lot, and I don't see him very much. And when I saw him, I liked that he was the guy who kind of helped at the end of. It was very interesting. You've got folks who probably are very racist, but they are going to follow the law, and the law is that this is a free man, and so we need to return him to New York. And it was. Honestly, it was fascinating to me that even happened, that there were people willing to follow the law at that time.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I guess the law benefited them because slavery was legal, so they had to follow what they considered good and bad laws. But the whole getting him back to his family was interesting. Yeah,
and the ending scene where he's there with his daughter, who now has her own daughter or son, I can't remember.
Yep.
And you can just see the pain of the loss of all of those years on his face, and then we quietly end the film. I just thought it was a beautiful way to end, because it's one last little reminder, because everything's not okay now. He's home, he's safe, but nothing is okay.
No, nothing is okay. And also, that's pretty much one of the only moments where we saw his raw emotions. It was amazing to me because I felt like he played it, and I think he did, and it was purposeful, very muted emotionally throughout most of the movie, and I think that's the way he survived. But then when you saw him see his family and feel a little bit safe and turn on those emotions, then you realized, oh, that's why it was missing through the rest of the movie. That was a choice.
Yeah, he had
a choice of the actor and a choice of the character.
Yeah, push it down, don't allow it, because that could break you.
Yep, exactly.
I don't really have a heck of a lot else. This is incredibly well done and well crafted. And again, it's just a difficult movie to sit through.
Exactly. Production design was beautiful. Costumes
Absolutely.
were beautiful. Sarah Paulson was scary ass, wasn't she?
Yeah.
When you saw her, I had forgotten the moment when she throws the vase at, it was awful.
Yep. She, I love Sarah.
She's great.
And she's played a wide variety of roles. A lot of them mean people.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can play mean incredibly well.
Exactly. So, all right.
Let's
Good
move
job.
on to Her. Her, written, co-produced, and directed by Spike Jonze, stars Joaquin Phoenix, Amy Adams, Rooney Mara, Olivia Wilde, Scarlett Johansson. I'm looking for page 3, which is right there. I'm disorganized. It was nominated for Picture, Original Screenplay, Original Score, Original Song, Best Production Design. It did win for Original Screenplay for Spike Jonze. Go with some stuff.
All right, so the summary is, in the near future, a lonely writer develops an unlikely relationship with an operating system designed to meet his every need.
That's 100% accurate, yep.
All right, so a couple of fun facts is this is the movie where Rooney Mara and Joaquin Phoenix met, and they've since gotten married and had a couple of kids.
Yep.
And also, and I think most people do know this, Scarlett Johansson was not the original voice. It was Samantha Morton, played in the scenes, filmed the entire movie with Joaquin Phoenix, and when it played it back, they realized it was not the right voice. And so, with Samantha Morton's permission, they ended up hiring Scarlett Johansson, who had to redub every line all the way through. But the one thing they didn't redub was the name Sam, because it was named after Samantha Morton.
Okay.
And so Sam remained the name of the operating system for her work up to that point.
Well, good for them. Give her a little nod for what she had done.
Exactly.
Okay, this is a Spike Jonze film, and it's very much a Spike Jonze film. He likes to tackle some odd things.
Yeah.
I will be honest with this, as I always am, but I'm not a fan of this movie.
Okay.
But I really like the big swings that this movie took.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, this movie isn't really just about, a guy who falls in love with his operating system. It is questioning what love really is.
Exactly, yeah.
And again, sci-fi has an ability to kind of pull back and then explore a little bit freer than if it was just a full relationship drama.
Yeah.
That extra element that is more mystical or whatever, that is not necessarily based in reality so much, allows for a further deepening and exploration of what this all is. And I think on that level, this film works incredibly well.
Yeah.
It's just not really my kind of thing.
I am hit or miss on Spike Jonze. I particularly like this movie a lot,
But
for the reasons that you're saying, it's not because of the kind of like first level story of he falls in love with an operating system, because of all the things it means about connection and our lack of connection in the society that we're in today, just under the surface. And one of the things I really love about it is the production design.
Yeah.
Because it is clearly not set in our time,
Right.
but it is also not clearly set that far ahead. So we don't really, things are generally mostly the same. The skyline is very different. So, a lot of things have happened with buildings and the way people live and that kind of stuff. But the clothes aren't that different. They're a little off. And I just love that it turned everything just a little bit of a left turn, but we could see us being there in 5 years, in 10 years, in 50 years.
100%.
And so I really enjoy that.
Yeah, the attention to detail to building a world that seems both futuristic and familiar at the same time.
Exactly. Great way to say it.
That's very, very hard to pull off, and they did an incredible job with just little things here and there. I mean, obviously scenes when he's out and about walking, they can do some more futuristic kind of stuff, so that's a little easier. But even just like sitting in an apartment and having conversations and the way that they go about, well, principally the way he goes about his life, you do get that sense that it's just something right down the road a little bit.
Exactly. Well, and just even his job.
Yeah,
I loved his job because you know what? That could absolutely be a job. It kind of is a job. Cameo is that job. Is you can send a request to a celebrity to write a letter to, a video letter to a loved one.
Yep.
And so it's exactly the same thing. So it's again, it's just a little bit shy of what's happening right now.
I got his job, I understood his job, and I felt sad that his job existed. Because at one point, he's having the conversation, and she says, "How did you know about the crooked tooth?" He's like, "I've been writing their letters to each other for years."
Yes.
And so he'd mentioned it once before, and I just remembered. And that sentence in and of itself is so sad to me. Because the relationship that they now have based on these letters is not really theirs. It's his. He has manufactured it.
It's a little Serenova de Bergerac in there, Yeah, and also, so, the things I kept thinking about that you raised at the top were connection and intimacy.
Yep.
And, he is probably more intimately connected to that partner with the snaggletooth than her actual partner is. And I kind of loved the end as well of, okay, so I have to actually really talk to my friend in real life. And that's not, it's good and it's beautiful and sunset, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward.
It's going to be hard and awkward, exactly. The one thing I did not love about this, and it disappoints me to say it, is I thought Amy Adams was really flat in this movie.
She kind of was, and she's not that kind of actress.
No, we just saw her in American Hustle. I mean, she's in two Oscar performances, or Oscar nominees this year.
Yep. And I would chalk that probably more up to the character being written and probably direction than her ability, obviously. So one of the things I want to talk about, this is another category of movie that we see a lot. This, for the most part, is a singular person movie. We're focused on just one person. And in this role, I think this is why I have a slight issue with the movie, and it's just not my jam. In this, Joaquin is an amazing actor, and he needs something to play off of a little bit more. Like, Joker, that's principally him, it's another focus on him, but there's enough that he has to interact with around in that movie where his performance can shine. In this, because it's really just him that we're focused on for most of it, I don't think he can carry that kind of film as well for me.
Yeah, I think he did a fine job of it, but I don't think that he had the Tom Hanks in Castaway of it. Yeah, I agree with you.
So that was just something I wanted to point out, is because again, it's singular focus. We've seen, some people can absolutely carry that off, and other times it's just not as.
You get James Franco.
Yeah. The film is just not as engaging because the person that you're focused on is just not that engaging.
Agree. And I just really enjoyed this movie because it kept me thinking for days.
Yeah. I remember the first time I saw it, and people were panning it because it was like, oh, someone falls in love with their operating system, how dumb and stupid. I'm like, that's not what the movie's about, man.
It is not.
Go back and watch it again, and then you'll understand, hopefully. And it does, like I said, it does a great job of tackling without answering. It just allows for the exploration of what all of this really does mean. What is, like you said, what is connection? What is intimacy? So it took some big swings, and I think for what it was trying to do, it was 100% successful.
Yep. I liked it.
That's all I really got.
Same here.
All right. We're busting through these.
I guess.
Let's move on to Nebraska. Nebraska, directed by Alexander Payne, written by Bob Nelson, starring Bruce Dern, Will Forte, June Squibb, Stacy Keach, and Bob Odenkirk. Nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actress for Squibb, Original Screenplay, and Cinematography. It did not win a thing.
Okay, so the summary is, an aging, booze-addled father makes a trip from Montana to Nebraska with his estranged son in order to claim $1 million mega sweepstakes marketing prize. I don't think they were estranged. I think they weren't close, but I don't think they were estranged.
Yeah, estranged is definitely the wrong word.
I think that's the wrong word. Yeah, with his son, I think would have been fine. But other than that, it's correct.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, so for the fun facts, I've just got a couple of casting what ifs, which I think is really interesting.
Okay.
So for the Will Forte role,
Yep.
Bryan Cranston and Matthew Modine were two that were talked about. Matthew Modine, I think, could have been really interesting in this. I don't love the Bryan Cranston. I think he's actually too good and would take over.
Yeah, I think his performance would probably have been a standout. It would have enhanced the film, I think. But yeah, Matthew Modine. That's an interesting choice.
All right, and for the Bruce Dern role, Gene Hackman, Jack Nicholson, and Robert Duvall were all considered.
You know what? Out of all of those, I think I would have liked to have seen Robert Duvall.
100%. That's what I was thinking as well. Is same thing with Jack Nicholson would take over the role. I think he's too big a presence for this movie, and Gene Hackman's just not the right energy.
No, Gene Hackman's not the right energy. I would normally agree with you, but then about Schmidt,
Fair.
He can pull himself way back in when.
And that's the same director, isn't it?
Yes, it is actually.
Is it? I thought. Okay.
So yes, okay. Let's talk about that. Alexander Payne has been kind of hit or miss for us throughout this.
Yep.
This one for me is right in the middle.
Okay.
I saw what he was trying to do. I think he executed it. I did not connect with the story. I didn't care about the story.
Okay. I loved it except for one major flaw, which we will get to. But I really enjoyed it because I thought it was very small and self-contained.
Yeah.
It was like, these guys are going on the hero's quest to do this. They went, they did that.
Yeah.
And then all of the people and the travel and experiences they met along the way. So I kind of liked that self-contained piece, and I loved so many of the performances that it made it worthwhile for me. But I agree that there were some odd choices.
I'm going to take a stab and say that out of all of this, you didn't think that Will was probably cast correctly.
He was horrible. He was absolutely horrible. If they had recast that with many other people, it would have been a perfect movie.
I think, and I don't think it was horrible. I'm not that strong about it, but I think if they had reversed the brothers and it had been Bob Odenkirk,
yes, that would have been amazing.
It would have been a better movie.
Okay, you just made this movie 100% better. Whereas on the other hand, Jade the Squib is a national fucking treasure. She was perfect in this role, and I'm so glad that she is still in her 90s and out there acting and doing a wonderful job. So I love that she was in this and that she really showed who she was and what she was made of. She was great.
She was, I think, by far the more talented of everybody that was in this.
Yep.
Bruce Dern just plays kind of a version of himself, which is like an elderly curmudgeon, and he does it brilliantly. He's great at it. I just didn't really see him acting at any point. See,
I would actually disagree because at the time of this movie, he was a marathon runner still.
Oh wow!
And so no, he was like out on the he is a '60s guy to change the world, and he was out there on protests and doing various things. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, so no, he was actually a pretty the curmudgeon. I think I will give you that. I think he is quite a curmudgeon guy, and he certainly was fairly elderly. But I think that he actually had to tone down his personality significantly to get into this role.
Okay, I've seen interviews with him, and the interviews that I have seen, and I saw a couple recently, that he just
different energy.
Yeah, well, no, it's like it was this kind of energy. Like,
interesting. Okay.
It was just a curmudgeon-y kind of thing that. So that's why I say.
Yeah, and could be maybe he had reached that place when he was doing this, but I also wish that they had a casting Oscar at the time of this movie. Because if you look at all of the very normal people that were cast in these roles of the townsfolk, of Will Forte's ex-girlfriend, of all of those folks could have been from Nebraska and Montana and people you see on the street, and even all of the performances, the twins that Royce Howard's sons, Royce Howard was fantastic. His sons were just hilarious and awesome, and not people that you see on the regular. You should.
I was gonna mention the two of them. They are a perfect representation of that kind of that kind of person. And I'm not saying that in any way is a negative thing.
No.
But they you and I both know people exactly like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I liked the things that it threw out there but didn't try to hit us over the head with. So it's like the challenge of aging parents. The challenge of, like with Will Forte and his girlfriend, like lack of commitment and being in different places in a relationship. The sibling rivalry of one sibling's doing better than the other sibling is doing. The cousins and all of the extended family and the challenges there. Nothing smacked you over the head, but everything was just kind of thrown out in little breadcrumbs to take or to leave.
The most obvious one was, and it was a little heavy-handed, I thought, at times, the desperately seeking your dad's approval.
Fair. I will get, very good point.
That was a little over the top at times, because he keeps trying to engage with his father, and his father just does not care.
Yeah.
And it's not that, I never got the impression that he didn't love him, like, that the father did not love the son. It's just, he's so just wrapped up in his own things that he just doesn't care.
Well, I thought it was two things. I thought one was his ex-girlfriend said Korea screwed him up and he never came back right, So I think that's one part of it, because you figure he had what were probably two Spitfire women who were after him at a certain time in his youth. That's not the man we saw.
Yeah.
Something changed him.
Yep.
So I think that it was the Korea piece, and also they were talking so much about, coded Alzheimer's, of he forgets this, he forgets that, he doesn't know names. And so I think it's the early stages of that as well, and dulling the senses.
You're right.
So I think that you get to see a little bit of, and that's another interesting piece, is like, what were your parents before they were your parents?
Yeah.
Who were they? And I thought the interaction with the newspaper woman was really good, of who she was. Again, I've never seen that woman before, may not again, but she owned that scene.
And we know Alexander Payne does use a lot of like local people when he goes places, like Sideways was a big example. He had a lot of local people in there, and he's able to pull these, I don't want to call them simple performances, because they're not simple, but they're able to do their role very, very well. He's able to get people to the place that he needs them to get to, I guess is what I would say.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, overall, this movie did exactly what it set out to do, and I congratulate it. It just, I had trouble latching on to the story itself.
Oh, you know what we forgot to talk about? It was in black and white.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that.
I think it was a very good choice to make this movie in black and white. I think color would have taken you out of the story. Black and white does something instantaneous when you see it. And sometimes that's really good, sometimes that's really bad. But when you see that a movie is in black and white, your mind shifts and you kind of settle for a second. Like, black and white, okay, what is that going to mean for this film? And you settle, but you're almost leaning forward a little bit more.
Yes, that's a great way to phrase it. Yep.
True. I think it made this film more engaging by being in black and white than if it had been in color.
I completely agree. And again, I think simple is actually a really good word for this. It was a simple plot about, realistically simple characters. Nobody was, they weren't trying to bring down the Death Star. They were trying to prove to their dad that he didn't win $1 million.
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely, we'll do this, but I'm going to prove to you what I've been saying all along, that this isn't real. And even that moment when it happens, he's not joyous that he was correct. He's just like,
he's sad.
I told you, can we go now?
Yeah, exactly. So.
So there you go.
All right.
We are flying.
Next up.
Okay.
And we only have 4 today, so.
That's true, we only have 4. All right, Wolf of Wall Street. Co-produced and directed by Martin Scorsese, written by Terrence Winter, based on Jordan Belfort's 2007 memoir. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, Margot Robbie, Matthew McConaughey, Kyle Chandler, Rob Reiner, Jon Favreau, R.I.P. Rob, Jon Favreau, and Jean Dujardin. Nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, and Supporting Actor for Jonah Hill, and Adapted Screenplay for Terrence Winter. Did not win anything.
All right, so the summary is, based on the true story of Jordan Belfort from his rise to a wealthy stockbroker living... I have to start that over.
Sure.
Summary, based on the true story of Jordan Belfort from his rise to a wealthy stockbroker living the high life to his fall, including crime, corruption, and the federal government.
Accurate.
Very accurate, yep. All right, so I think that whenever you're talking, my fun facts are a couple about a true story is, like basically Jordan Belfort, because a lot of this is based on his story, says this is 100% the truth, except for a few things they did to consolidate the story,
Yep.
because it's a movie. And of course, basically everybody around him was like, yeah, that's not true. But from most accounts, it seems to be mostly true. I think that maybe some people didn't like the way they were portrayed.
Yeah.
The FBI did not like how they came out of this, but in general, I think the storyline is pretty accurate.
Yep, I've heard the same.
Yeah, one thing I thought was interesting with regard to casting was, because they had little, cameos here and there of various people, but what I found interesting was Steve Madden, the shoe IPO that
Yep.
led all of this. The actor who played him was Jake Hoffman, Dustin Hoffman's son,
Oh, okay.
which I did not know.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay, Wolf of Wall Street. I'm going to start out with a question because you had stated, and I think this is a perfect place to start with this movie.
Yes.
You stated you do not like this film.
I did.
And I have suspicions as to why, but I was going to give you the floor and allow you to say the things that I think you might want to say.
Okay, so I believe I said to you I hate this movie.
Yes.
And you're being kind.
Yes.
So I will temper that to I don't really like this movie. So
Sure.
this movie is not for me. So I have after watching it again, I'm like, all right. I will say the circumstances under which I watched this movie were next to my dad in a movie theater.
Oh, okay,
and
that's
so
awesome.
I think that probably had a lot to do
Yeah.
with why this just was not a good experience of watching. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a big pass for that. Part of the reason I don't like it is because it just reads to me as Goodfellas. It is Goodfellas. It is the same story. The beginning is him talking to camera about why he wants to be a big guy, and it's almost exactly the same. The ending is a very famous song. It's instead of, I forget what it was in Goodfellas, but it's Mrs. Robinson, ramped up rock and roll version of it as everybody gets taken down. And in between, instead of the mob family, you've got the stockbroker family. So to me, it just too closely mirrored something that Scorsese had done so incredibly well before. And it was just a bloated, overindulgent version of that to me. Okay, I'm scared.
This is Goodfellas. This is Goodfellas. This is just about depravity as opposed to violence and loyalty and control. It's the exact same movie.
Amen. All right.
That said, because it's Scorsese, it's a very well executed and
well
beautifully
executed, yes.
directed movie, but it is the same story, and it is almost beat for beat the same story.
Poor man's Goodfellas
Yes.
is what I said.
And that kind of surprised me that he would do that, because he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And I wonder why he made the choice to do this movie. He had to have seen what he was doing and how close to Goodfellas this was, because it is almost a beat for beat remake.
Especially the bookends.
Yeah. And so that part surprises me.
I will say, I think I do wonder if a little bit was ego, because there's a couple of scenes in here that are really funny and really good and either needed not to be there or needed to be 5 minutes shorter. So like a good example is when Leo is falling down the stairs at the country club and trying to get into the car and all of that. Like, that's fun. He is funny. That was great physical comedy. That would have been a scene in The Hangover. It was great. But like a minute or two of that would have been good. That did not, to your point, you're always talking about scenes moving forward the plot.
Yep.
This didn't move forward the plot at all.
No, it was a momentary pause for comedic effect.
Yeah, and there were many of those along the way.
Yeah. One of the jokes that was executed beautifully is, he in his head he believes that he made it home perfectly fine, and then he snaps out of it for a quick second and actually sees his car, and then the voiceover of him was like, oh, I guess that wasn't true, or whatever the wording is, like the realization that, oh, no, none of that happened the way I thought it did.
Yes.
That was a nice quick comedic beat.
Yes.
And we didn't stay on that very long. We moved on to the next thing. So yes, to your point.
Yeah.
One of the things I do want to talk about with this movie is, so Scorsese does not shy away from violence in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't really shy away from anything.
No, there was a ton of sex. There was a ton of overindulgence.
Yes.
And, yeah.
And this movie gets criticized for being a celebration of debauchery, which I completely disagree with. I don't think it's a celebration of it. I think it is showing it and its downfalls, but there is a lot of attention paid to it.
Yes.
Too much, I think.
I agree.
You could have pulled a lot of those scenes back and still made your point. So I can understand why somebody says it's a celebration of it because it's just everywhere
There's so
all the time.
much. Exactly.
Which might indeed be the point, but even still, you could pull a lot of that back and tell a tighter, I think, better story without constantly having to recruit that. Easy example, when they're on the plane going to Vegas for his, like...
Bachelor party, yeah.
Yes. The scene with them in the plane and then like suddenly everybody's naked and they're just having sex all over the place. That may have happened, that may have been true, but did we really need to see that to help enhance the fact that he is a drug-addled sex addict, that debauchery is his thing? In too much of that kind of like, okay, tits again, you know, like...
Well, I was actually going to say, give an example of that was the scene where he's with Margot Robbie, he's still married, they're on their first date, and he is trying to figure out how to get her into the bedroom.
Yep.
And then she opens the door to the bedroom and she's fully nude.
Yep.
That moment would have had so much more of a reaction if we had not seen naked women for the last hour and a half. And if we had just been like, oh my God, okay. Like, to me, that would have had so much more, I don't know, oomph than it did, you know, as it did.
Like, yeah, when you see it so much, you kind of...
Yeah.
I guess this is my point. When you're constantly seeing it, you then tend to kind of devalue it because it's just you know, here it is again,
Yes.
here it is again. So the impact of it is not as much. So if the intent was to truly show that, you know, debauchery is a bad thing, all these drugs, all of this, that lifestyle was truly bad, you didn't have to hit us over the head with it so much.
Yes.
It would have been more impactful to see it when it mattered.
Exactly, but and to your earlier point, it also is not a celebration of it because you're not showcasing it in really important moments. It's just there all the time.
Yeah. And again, that might have been the point. It might have been a conscious choice to just have it be constant so you can see this supposed world that he was living in. That might have been the conscious choice. I just don't think it was the right one.
I completely agree. One thing I will say that I really enjoyed about this movie, though, is Leonardo DiCaprio's performance.
Yeah, he's really good.
I thought he was great in it, and after having seen Matthew McConaughey in Dallas Buyers Club, I thought Leo gave the better performance. I really do, even though I didn't love the movie as much.
Yeah, that's good. Now I'm going to think about that because
I think his was so much, it was all over the place. Leo's was, whereas Matthew McConaughey kind of had a very specific character. He had a couple of moments of very different emotions, but it was not as it didn't have the vast scale. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, if you think about the various things that he goes through, in the beginning, he's like young, hungry, eager. He's basically sitting at the feet of Matthew McConaughey's character.
Drinking water at lunch.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he loses his job, but he had the training, so then he goes to a new place and he's rediscovering something, so he has to have that kind of emotion. Then he gets a little bit of power and then a little bit more power. And there rises and falls throughout. Yeah, his character is far more varied.
Just even that scene where he is for the first time selling the penny stocks, and everyone just stops what they're doing, and he was riveting. He really was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the character and the actor.
There are certain movies that he does where the star of him, you can look past and see what a good actor he actually can be. He's not always. Sometimes it's just the star power that carries him through. But he can when I think it probably has to do with the director, because the big performances that I'm thinking of in my head, there are always very powerful directors. So you think Titanic,
Cameron,
and then this one, and also The Departed, both Scorsese, and he did phenomenal. As we can probably name others, but his really good performances are with really good directors.
Yeah. I would even say most recently, you know, the one with Paul Thomas Anderson is his performance I really enjoyed.
Yep.
I didn't love the movie as much, but I really liked him. kind of the same as this. So I did not hate it as much, but I really think that that is probably the experience I had while watching it was very uncomfortable.
Yep. And I'm glad we both agree that this is essentially a remake of Goodfellas because I enjoyed this movie, but there's something every time, and I didn't really get it until the rewatch for this.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I just kind of let it wash over me, and I was like, Scorsese, he's amazing. But this time I was like, this is 100% a remake of Goodfellas, and it bothered me because it took me a little while to get there, so I couldn't engage with the movie until I figured that out. And once I did, then I'm out of the movie permanently.
Exactly, and it's funny, talking back to Goodfellas, is the scenes where Ray Liotta, it's basically a day where Ray Liotta is losing his mind and cocaine addled and, going from the hospital to the spaghetti sauce to gotta sell the guns, gotta do this. That was short and tight and meaningful, and this was an hour and a half to 2 hours of it was Leo losing his mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jonah Hill, spectacular.
Yeah, coming from the background that he did in the teen kind of comedy movies, the Judd Apatow scene of everything, he has stepped up his game tremendously.
He was great in this.
Yeah, and I mean the first time we really saw that was in Moneyball.
Yep.
And again, it goes back to what people say a lot, that comedic actors are far more versatile than dramatic actors are.
Yep, completely agree. He was wonderful.
So I still enjoy the film. I'm just super disappointed in it now.
Sorry.
No, I came to the same
I
conclusion.
know. Yeah, and I increased my liking for it slightly.
Okay, unless you have anything else.
I do not have anything else.
So let's see. Of these, and I'm fine with having less than 5. We don't have to make it 5. Of these, would you move any of these forward?
I would certainly move 12 Years a Slave, and for me, I would move Nebraska forward. But I know you didn't care for that as much.
Nope, we can move forward. I'll just instantly disregard it.
What about Wolf of Wall Street? Is that a Best Picture nomination, even though we didn't like it?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it deserves to be in the category. I think it deserved to be nominated because, again, it is incredibly well crafted. Everything fires. It's ticking all of the boxes that a Best Picture movie should.
Yep.
It's just a remake.
Exactly.
Okay, so 12 Years a Slave in Nebraska, Dallas Buyers Club, and Philomena.
Yes.
All kind of small movies.
12 Years a Slave is a bigger movie, I would
bigger.
say. Scope-wise, and, you figure the costumes, the sets.
Oh,
I think it is fairly epically bigger.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so 3 smaller and 1 somewhat bigger.
Okay, would you like to go first and take a guess, or?
I would like to take a guess that you agree with the Academy that 12 Years a Slave should have won Best Picture.
Based on these films, yes, it is the best picture out of all of these films, in my estimation. And I'm going to say that, I'm going to take a big shot, and I'm going to say you disagree and Philomena should have won.
No, I agree, and 12 Years a Slave should have won.
Okay.
Yep, but
that
I can
doesn't surprise me.
No, I can see where you would think so, because I did really enjoy Philomena and think that was a good movie. But this is a better, hits all of the notes movie.
Absolutely. So, congratulations, Academy. You made the right call.
You got it right. I'm going to ask you one question before we end, though,
Sure.
because you said that this is the best of the movies nominated. Was there something that you think was not nominated that year that should have won, or was that just of these movies that's the best?
Going through quickly some of the ones that were out there.
I thought maybe you had something in your back pocket.
No, unfortunately, we are firmly in the age of IP right now.
Yes.
And have been for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's just, repeats of or continuing a series of something. It's just all IP, and the rare ones that are not do tend to stand out because literally they are not.
Well, and I think also we're coming to just about 10 years ago, so we're having less distance ourselves as movie watchers. In when you're looking back 20 or 30 years, you can have a little bit of distance. And here, I think we're kind of looking at, okay, our first impression was only 10 years ago.
Yep. No, you're right.
10, 12.
Yeah, no, so there's not one that I would put in here or necessarily even take out. I think these were the best films of the year. Although Fruitville Station I might have put in there because that's a small little indie. And actually, no, I will go firmly on record. Fruitvale Station should have been in here.
It could have been, they only had 9.
Yeah, Fruitvale Station should have been in here.
I would certainly not disagree with that.
Okay, let us know in the comments and all that good stuff. Do you agree, disagree? Leave us some comments. You haven't left us comments for a while there, people. So, see ya.
Bye-bye.